himself getting passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on. So Nurburgring in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. He doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haig deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the loud pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And it definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down it towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed Morton forward up ahead. He's got out of line. It's now Pike going to have a go at Werrell. Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such trouble. He's left on second and change. All of a sudden Miller's back in play.
On to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's a lot to have fun. Yeah, and it's all about the entertainment. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching. The Burger King machine's off into the grass a little bit there. Is that really bunching up now?
Hello everyone and welcome back to the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel and welcome to the Apex is Lava Sim Racing, a new championship here on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. It's going to be myself, Zach Sweeney, James Parfitt alongside me in the comments box to talk you through all of the racing action here today. We start with the GT3's, of course, at the Nurburgring Nordschleife. We take to the full North Loop and, of course, the GP circuit with the Mercedes Arena section as well. Of course, as I say, we start with the GT3 class, but this championship works in a very different way to what you might be used to. It's all on the Nordschleife, but the difference comes in the cars that we take to. The GT3, the FF1600, and the touring cars for the first 3 rounds. Pro Mazda, GR86, the Arca. Then comes the GT4s, Radicals to come after that. GTE, a step back for the nostalgia before we head to the Jetta, the production car, and then the Super Formula Lights, and then one free content to end off the season at, again, the Nordschleife, surprisingly. So, bit different format. I quite like it, though. The track is the familiar bit, but adapting to the cars week in, week out is going to be the difficult thing, isn't it, James?
Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it, overall, when you look at a series like this. They're putting them all on the same track, and obviously just the layouts are changing depending on, obviously, the car and what they're able to do, right? You don't want the FF1600, for instance, going on the extra long 174-lap one, but then you obviously don't want to put it on something like just the normal Nords. You know, there's a lot involved with it, and I think it's getting used to whatever car you've been given, because they're all different. You know what I mean? Can you imagine the Arca trying to tackle Nordschleife? You know, it's something different compared to what we've got this week with the GT3 class. So I think these guys have put on something rather special and something that's going to basically challenge the drivers around them. Make sure that they go out and practice, because you're going to have to. Right, you are going to have to physically practice what you are using, because you can't just jump into all of these cars. You can't go from the GT3 to the 1600 to the TCR to the Mazda just jumping in there and going, oh yeah, I can do this, because you can't. And that's the problem. You've got to make sure that you can get in the car, get some practice time, and get the job done. And I think that's what we're going to be looking forward to. They have just come to the end of qualifying, so we are just waiting for it to flick over to the next session. It does take quite a while at Nords, unfortunately, to be able to do that. But, you know, it could be interesting. You know, we've got a lot of the new GT3s. As you say, the Corvettes are out there in force as well. Some of the older ones, the Fords, not your relatively normal choice of cars that people would pick, being the Ford there, Zach.
Yes, so of course, recently in iRacing, for those unfamiliar, we had the addition of the Corvette GT3, and then of course the Ford Mustang to replace the old Ford GT, which anyone familiar with the iRacing scene will know that that car was absolutely nowhere. I think it was actually one of the only cars to still have a sequential stick, so down for up and up to go down gears, similar to what you'd see, say, in a rally car. That just goes to show the level that car was at relative to the rest of the GT3 field. And despite so many people trying to set it up in the right way, it was just atrocious. So we've got the Mustang, we've got the Corvette, and a couple of people are going to be trying them out around, of course, the Green Hell, one of the most famous or infamous racing circuits, depending on how your day goes, I suppose, here at the ring. But it is dubbed the Green Hell for a reason. It's tricky, it's tight, it's technical, and you've got to have your wits about you, don't you? It is as simple as that. You cannot, have a lapse in concentration for even a second, because this is the type of circuit that will chew you up and spit you out. The GT3s, though, probably the most familiar class of car that these guys are going to be taking to this season.
You know, they've got to be aware that it doesn't matter what car you put on here, right? You are going to struggle, because the curbs are a killer. There isn't any coming back from making a mistake. Yeah, they've got one fast repair, but if they go and wreck the car, they've got a 9-minute tow, right? And every race at the moment is at 4 laps. So they're going to be waiting a lap before they can actually get the fast repair done, so they're going to already be a lap down. So they've got to make sure that they stay away from the curbs, make sure that they've gone and out and practiced to make sure they can hit every single braking point, because some of them are very, very tricky. So I think there's going to be a lot involved with it. The GT3 is different to the 1600s, so you've got to make sure that you have done your homework on the circuit. If they hit a curb, they're going to hit a barrier. It's just going to be as easy as that. It's almost like 50-50, to be fair to you, Zach, whether or not you're going to hit the curb and go off, or you're going to hit the curb and get away with it. But I can tell you what, you try it too many times, you ain't going to get away with it that often.
No, you're not. There are some curbs at the Nurburgring that you can use, and you are advised to use. There are other ones that are so incredibly high, it is firmly not advised to go anywhere near them. Qualifying, by the way, has completed, so we will bring up the grid as soon as we can. There it is, Jason Hightower right at the top of the tower, ahead of Rick Putnam, who will join him on the front row. Corey Stars ahead of Evan Krutvold. That's row 2. Matt Green rounds off the top 5 ahead of David Mull, Lance Keltner and Dave Hernandez, the top 4 rows with Adam Wang and Dylan Hesselhink, the top 10. Gabriel Batista ahead of Pat Labrosse. Both of them going to be trying to wrestle their way forwards from the 6th row. Patrick Mishkik ahead of Tim Warchow. Then comes Steve Cabay, the top 15 drivers. The Austrian driver of Patach as well, the 16th. Behind that, Chase Petterjohn, and then Cameron Bailey with Eric Killian, the 19th and final driver to take to the grid here at the Nurburgring Nordschleife. A rolling start, of course. They start all the way back here on the Dottingerhohe, get those tyres warmed up, gets those brakes warmed up, coming into what is going to be a 4-lap race around the combined layout of the Nürburgring and, of course, the GP loop. So both the Nordschleife and the Grand Prix layout that we've got. What's going to be the most important thing for the first lap then, James, especially for those guys at the front? What's going through their heads and how can they settle into this race perfectly?
Right, what they don't want to do, okay, you've got 4 laps. Now, generally, if we were on a normal circuit, we would sit back and go 4 laps isn't very long. But normal circuits don't have 8-minute lap times. You know, they've got plenty of time, right? They've got plenty of time to get this right. So they cannot rush it, because if they rush, it's all going to go wrong. And I can guarantee you it will go wrong as well. You know, they've got to just make sure they keep it on the track for the first lap. Let them tyres warm up. Let them get up to temperature and see how they get on. They cannot rush. They can't go and try and do a last to first challenge by the end of the first lap, because I can tell you one thing, it's not going to happen.
No, I don't think so. I definitely am in the opinion of the GP loop and the Dottingerhohe are your best places to get the moves done. And they're only going to do that 4 times. So, of course, maximizing the times where you realistically can overtake while also trying to limit the damage whilst on that Nordschleife, because it's almost, not necessarily almost impossible, but definitely very, very tricky to get a move done. So patience is going to be the name of the game. And also, mistakes are going to happen. You don't want to be one of those drivers that make one, because if you can just keep your nose clean, I can guarantee you're probably going to be making up at least 2 or 3 places by the end of the race.
And that is why generally when they say about officials, you start from the pit lane and wait 30 seconds, because I can guarantee by the time you get to the run to the first time, some people have already gone on, because they have gone and done too much too soon and basically just stacked the car. So, you know, a bit of advice, if you are at Nords and your favourite car is at Nords, sit in the back and sit in the pits for 30 seconds and let them go crash, because I can guarantee you there's going to be a lot of them.
Yes, especially in officials, obviously, because the skill levels definitely do vary. We've all been there, done that, and firmly got the t-shirt. They're all warming their tyres up, of course, on the Dottingerhohe at the moment. Hightower versus Putnam, Stars, Krutvold, the top 4 drivers. Now, of course, at the front, is it going to be a case of trying to hold position, gain position? What is, again, the name of the game for these drivers? Because, again, there's only going to be so many opportunities to overtake.
You want to make sure that you hold the position you've got, but you also want to look at the fact that it's not a big deal if you lose a position, because you've got 4 more laps, right? You've got another, what's that, 16, give or take 32 minutes to basically get that position back. Just be calm. You need nerves earlier. You know, you need them of steel. You need to get control of them. You cannot sit back and worry too much about it, because otherwise you're going to be in danger.
You are indeed. Well, they're 2x2 Noah's Ark formation. 4 laps ahead of us then for the Apex is Lava Racing. The first round at the Nordschleife, we take to GT3 action. It's Hightower from Putnam, and Hightower puts his foot to the floor and sends this season underway in towards turn number 1, and he's got a healthy margin ahead of the rest, a good couple of car lengths, and he's going to be comfortable into the braking zone. The Mustang and the BMW, in fact, actually the Corvette go side by side. That's going into turn 1. Of course, we do have the Mercedes Arena section. Bit of kerfuffle in the background as well, it must be said. Batach swapping places with Petterjohn. That's the fight for 14th place, but so far so good, and a fairly tame start, particularly at the front.
Yeah, they seem to have all made it through as well, and I think they've done a great job. No real dramas currently at this moment in time, which is always good. We've got a couple coming out of the pit lane now. Patrick Messick and Killian have come out at the back end, so they've obviously sat back and waited for people. But at the moment, Hightower's got an absolute barnstorming start. He's done a great job. He has got Putnam right up behind him as well. So we'll see how these two new GT3 cars get on in the race. Of course, they're fresh to iRacing this season. They come in with a whole, hype moment as well. I did say to you, I do love the Corvette. You did say to me that you don't like the Corvette, but, we won't hold that against you.
For someone that hates being thrown under the bus, you do love doing it to other people, don't you?
Oh, I did. That's your choice, mate. You say things like that, you are in danger.
We have got, I'll hold you to that phrase then. We have got plenty of time to delve into the opinions of others. It's just not my thing. I prefer like a flat six Porsche or something like that. Something that really sounds, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but they're not my type of car. But nonetheless, they're proving to be very quick. The Corvette, from what I've heard, is a car that is fairly difficult to get to grips with. But once you have, it's like riding a bike. And you don't really fall out of that driving style. Very precise. The Mustang, however, very much more user-friendly, easy to jump into and go quick, but maybe that potential relative to the Corvette is capped ever so slightly. All in all, though, it seems that Hightower has got the measure as they run their way through the first part of the Nordschleife for the first time, up towards Flugplatz. Of course, these cars, no dramas in taking off. A little bit of a lift at the top, depends how much speed you want to carry. And then, of course, got to be careful because that long right-hander, especially as the cars just come up over a hill, can be a little bit shaky in terms of the grip. But we are very much establishing a top 5 in this race. Hightower, Putnam, Stars, Krutvold and Matt Green, the top 5 in that Porsche, of course, on home soil for the manufacturer. Same too for the BMW. So far, so good. They're all running line astern. And I've got to be honest, I think already this is firmly turning itself into a race for second because Hightower is just up and gone.
Yeah. He's got this done, isn't he? He looks, bar making any silly mistakes, he looks like he's got that Corvette absolutely nailed. But look at it. It just looks amazing. The Mustang looks like a house brick on wheels. Always had, that's just my opinion, and I've seen it in other series, and it's looked the same as well. That just looks like it's a little bit more of a handful, and obviously they did the Mustang in iRacing before the GT3, and well, that thing was it was, you might as well be on ice. It was just tail happy consistently. But I think some of these guys have taken these new cars, they've given them the practice that they need, and they've gone out and absolutely smashed it. We've got Dave Hernandez still rocking the Mercedes, Lance in the Mustang, in the Ford Mustang, and Adam Wang down in the Ferrari. They're having a nice little ding dong as well. So there are pockets of battles happening. You've got the likes of Matt Green. Unfortunately, he is on the back of the BMW, but he's got Dave Mole closing in on the Mustang. So we've got battles all the way through the track. Nobody's driving around on their own just yet.
Yeah, exactly. Swap here, by the way, for P2. Stars moves his way past Putnam in the fight. Oh my goodness me, Gabriel Batista having to wrestle the car at the bottom of the hill. There's contact, and in tandem they spin round, avoiding action from both of the drivers in behind. Petterjohn and Kobe, I believe, as Warchow and Batista are forced into a spin, and it's so easy to get beached on that curb. Hopefully they're able to get back going again, but that is not the way you want to start a race. And same, actually, with Alexander Batached as well. His front end is completely gone.
Yeah, he's had a bit of a problem there as well. He's got to stay off them curbs. When we say to you, stay off the curbs, we do mean it, right? I've driven here, I've been here hundreds of times, and the curbs aren't friendly, so you've got to make sure you're staying off them. We've got David Mole. He has got Corey Stas right behind him in the Corvette at the moment as well. That's exactly what we said. Batista hit the curb on the going down into the left-hander, got it all wrong, got back on the gas, tagged the car in front, and it was ballerinas all day in Swan Lake.
Yeah, exactly. That is as simple as that, really. So easy to make that mistake, though. The load that the car's under through that right hand, sometimes it is just too much for the car to comprehend, especially when you have to then couple that with braking. Sure, these cars have got ABS and sort of braking system to try and manage the load to each of the tyres, but even that's got a limit in what it can do. And sometimes it's just too much. You can lock the rears, particularly in that Porsche. I know it is very tail happy at times, particularly on the brakes. And that's all it takes around the Nordschleife. One small mistake, disastrous consequences that follow. Corey Stas, by the way, was up into P2 momentarily, has dropped all the way back to P6, I assume following a mistake. On the tail, of course, of David Mull. That's the fight for top 5, and that green Mustang right ahead of him, the 49 machine. And at this stage of the Nordschleife, again, it's just all you can do is follow and hope that the driver in front doesn't make a mistake, because there's no way that you're going for a conventional overtake.
Yeah. There's no room. There's no room. Look at the width of the track. If he parks that Mustang in the middle, Corvette's got nowhere to go. You've got to wait and wait. And as we said, the dotting O is your best opportunity. The stadium section, probably your best opportunity. This here, no. Follow and wait. I want to see how they're going to do the jump on the left-hand side here, because this could, well, be very, very tricky. Over they go. No dramas for them. Great all the way through. And now they've got this fast run coming out, leading up into the dotting O. But I think, you know, he's got to be mindful, Stas, now. Just follow him. Don't do anything silly coming into this section, because it's just not going to work.
It is not. It is one of the most satisfying sections to hook up, though, no matter what car you're in. You can take this at speed as... Oh, my goodness me. Corey Stas making the mistake, going in deep, and code brown for both drivers there. That's one of those where you are not sure whether or not you're coming out alive, because you slam the brakes on, and then your foot just presses the pedal harder and harder, and it's like there's no more pedal left to go. You are just completely at the mercy of that car stopping. It's scary. We've all been there, done that. Thankfully, there was no harm, because that could have been a very swift end to the race there.
Yeah, both Stas and Mull could have been sitting there being towed along for 9 minutes at least. And the way they work out that towing system is very bizarre, because you can have a crash right next to the pit lane and you've still got to wait 9 minutes. So I'm not entirely sure how that one works out. But yeah, that was nearly race ending. That's probably not what you want to be doing on lap 1. I've got to be honest on that one. Stay away from him. If he'd hooked up the section, he might have been in a better position going on to the dotting O, which might have allowed him to make the overtake. But he didn't, and unfortunately, he's now going to be there again. If he doesn't get him down into turn 1, he's going to be stuck behind him somewhere in the stadium. So, see how he goes for Corey Stas on this time.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we touched on. The Dottinger Hoa going into Tiergarten under the bridge. That's your best overtaking opportunity, the easiest one. The next best is make the most of the GP loop, because it's exactly that. It's a Grand Prix loop. There is a huge send, goodness me, from Corey Stas. No way has he been able to get that one stopped. Of course, it's thwarted by David Mull in that Mustang, but that Corvette is looking menacing, driving all over the rear end of him. Through the Mercedes Arena section into turn 3, he's over the curb, and the car just goes completely straight. But oh my goodness me, it's better than going round, because that's exactly what David Mull has just done, and there's contact.
Oh, there is contact as well. I think that was with David Hernandez. David Mull, I think, has just lost his front. Well, there's a piece of carbon there. Find it on eBay tomorrow. Go and check it out. You can bid on a piece of carbon fresh from the Nordschleife off the Ford Mustang there. But yeah. I don't want to say it's the Mustang doing Mustang things, because we normally keep that for the Porsche, right? It's the Porsche doing Porsche things. But is that going to be a trait of this Mustang, do we think? Is there going to be people trying to slam the throttle down that's going to end up spinning the Mustang up? Because, you know, the original Mustang that was in iRacing, that's all it did if you hit the throttle too hard.
Yeah, pretty much. I do love the duality of Rick Putnam's car. It is the most aggressive American muscle you can think of, and it's got a unicorn on the side of it. I love it. It is fantastic. Rick Putnam, you take the top step in terms
Absolute
of
legend.
Yeah. It's glittery as well, which is even better. I love it. Is that Hello Kitty on the front as well? No way. Oh, no,
it's a little unicorn.
I love it.
The irony, you know what I mean? The irony of Putnam's car is the fact that obviously, you know, as you say, it's supposed to be this beast. Maybe it's a, I don't know, stallion in a unicorn's clothing? I don't know. Could it be that?
It doesn't have horsepower, it has unicorn power.
Fairy
and
dust.
It's powered by fairy dust,
Yeah.
pixie dust, even. Who knows what is fueling that GT3 machine. But Rick Putnam, whatever he's fueling it with, whatever he's fueling himself with, is working very nicely. P2, and in fact, is actually posing a decent challenge to Jason Hightower, who's doing a really good job just sort of keeping everyone else at an arm's length away. But Putnam, contrast to what he was doing on the first lap, has actually been able to reel that gap back in to a more sustainable 1 second. Is he able to put pressure on Hightower physically? No. Does it send a message to Hightower that he's not going anywhere and one small mistake from the Corvette is going to be, potentially race changing? Absolutely. And that is perfectly fine for Rick Putnam at this stage of the race.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. The longer that Putnam stays within that second and a half, because let's be real, right? After lap 1, we thought Hightower was going to be on his bike, and he was going to be down the road, and it's going to be 4 seconds at the moment, and he's not. He's only got 1.3, and the more Putnam just keeps going, and Krautweld as well, keeps going and going and going, Hightower can make a mistake. We haven't seen anything bad coming out of the Corvette from Jason Hightower yet, but it doesn't mean it won't. But he needs that pressure that he's got now to make, to keep him honest, to keep him concentrating, because if he don't concentrate in these cars on this circuit, game over. And I think Corey Stas he's just made a mistake and he's lost a position to Adam Wang there as well. So unfortunately for Corey Stas, he is having a little bit of trouble. Exceptionally quick, but can't keep it on the track.
Yeah, exactly. And you're better off being mid in terms of the pace, but sensational in terms of your consistency. It's all good being quick, but if you're making a mistake every other lap, I mean, we saw Stas at the front of the field for the majority of the first lap, but made the mistake that dropped him down behind into P6. And then, of course, he's made another one on that recovery. And while it's not race ending, he's been able to hold it. And at worst, it was maybe just a spin or an off track. He's not found the barrier. It doesn't bode well for his tyres, for his morale, for his consistency, for his rhythm. All of those things are going to be taking a hit. And it's so much more difficult to regain that as opposed to just maintaining it from the start. Of course, we are about halfway through the race, or we will be at the end of this lap. So there's still time for it for the fortunes to change. And to be fair, a top 5 is still realistic. He's only, less than 3 seconds off Hernandez for P5. But what could have been versus what will be for Corey Stas are two very different things. Yeah.
I think, to be honest, you've hit it the nail on the head, and you're right. And I know I don't say that very often, especially to you.
You're saying it more often now. I mean, I'm just saying.
I know, because there are moments you have a bright, sparky idea, and oh no!
Well, I have to say that was not a bright, sparky idea from Corey Stas. That goes without saying. Yeah.
That's the issue. You can be as quick, and his car is done. That front, no, it is. It's
pointing straight. Seems fine.
There's no way that's fine.
Look, the steering wheel tracked straight. That's fine.
I thought when he come out of that barrier, that front right was off the ground, but maybe it might have just been my eyes. I do wear glasses.
I think that's iRacing doing iRacing things.
I do wear glasses for a reason, of course, as well, which probably don't help me, but it did look like that front was off. But that's what we mean. That's exactly, he has literally just demonstrated what we're talking about. You could be Max Verstappen, and if you can't keep the car on the racetrack because you can't handle your own pace, ain't going to make no difference. And the Stas is going to have to go away from this and sit back and go, what did I do? Well, I had pace for days, I overdrove the car and stuck it into the wall a few times. And that's basically, lesson learned from him. But we have still got the front three of Hightower, Putnam and Krautweld are still battling away. And Krautweld's down to 6 tenths at the moment. So great job.
Yeah, he's closing in that gap. Of course, the question remains, does he sit behind Putnam? Or does he overtake us? Oh, well, there's the answer to that one. The unicorn has met its demise and Putnam has put himself into the barrier. That is surely day done. There is no recovering from that unless he can limp it back to the pit lane. Rick Putnam looked almost secure for a second place, maybe even a victory, but he's dropped the car right at the end of the circuit. And that most definitely is a car that does not look fun to drive one bit. Also looks like a unicorn that you would not want showing up to your daughter's birthday party.
The unicorn's lost its horn.
Yep.
There we go.
Poor unicorn.
Poor unicorn. The problem is it's so easily done here. So easily done. You've just, you know, you can go in an official from 30th place, sit there and wait 30 seconds, and you can guarantee you can finish in the top 5. Easily. I did it in the SR10 to prove a point to my son, who was like, Dad, I can't drive Nordschleife. I was like, right, what were you in? He said, the SR10. I said, okay, give me the car, and I'll show you how to do it. And I went from 30th and finished in 4th. And he went, well, how did you do that? I said, because you didn't sit there and wait for them to go out and crash on their own. And that is what they do. So it does show how tough this is. It does show that they've got to make sure that, you know, they nail this and get this right. Hernandez is just past the limping Putnam at the moment. It looks like he's going to get it back to the pit lane, get that fast repair done, and should be able to get that, I would say, big gruffing GT Mustang, but it is in a unicorn's outfit, so, you know, back out on track.
It's like seeing like a big bodybuilder in a tutu or something. The equivalent of. It's like seeing maybe like The Rock having to like dress up for his daughter or something, have a tea party.
Oh,
the equivalent.
Have you seen The Rock in Tooth Fairy? In a tutu and spandex?
No.
Oh my God, that's exactly what you're talking about. Go and have a look at that film, Tooth Fairy. It's got The Rock in it, and he has to wear a pink tutu and spandex. It's so funny, but that's exactly what you're talking about, right there.
Beautiful. That is. I do love sim racing liveries. They are top notch. Chase Petron, by the way, is in the chase for P5. He is closing in on Adam Wang, the 777 Ferrari, which, by the way, is undoubtedly the best looking GT3 car going.
Wrong.
That Ferrari 296.
You're not right on that one.
What? What is it then? A Corvette? No, it's not.
No, hey mate, before I even thought about getting a Corvette, that was my car of choice right there. The Mercedes. Yep.
Yeah, I have got the Mercedes. It was the first GT3 I bought. I had the pre-Evo version before obviously it got upgraded. So I've got the Legacy Mercedes. I didn't mind it. It's nice to look at, but that Ferrari, Chase Petterjohn has gone for a spin before, well, basically just as he started the Nordschleife. Simple as that. It's slightly uphill. You try and put that power down, and you find yourself on that curb. Thankfully, he's able to find the traction to get going. Got to be careful on the rejoin.
Jesus.
Finds himself back in 8th.
From 0 to 0 in splits of a second. Mr. Sweeney there as well. Nords claiming another victim. You see David Mole go through. He's still not gone in and got his car done. He's got still no front end on that one. Good news. Putnam, I believe, is back out on the racetrack. There he is, in a fully restored Mustang. So he's freed up to go after these guys once again. We are obviously on lap 3, and we've still got Hightower in that Corvette. Now he's got the gap that we expected he would have anyway.
Yeah, exactly. 4 seconds after 3 laps is not bad going. I mean, it's still close and competitive, considering they've already driven upwards of 65 kilometers at this stage. To have a 4-second gap it's not dreadful, as the limit that he's on is sensational. And that's the thing, is you're just finding a rhythm that you're comfortable with, and for some that is pushing, because that's what's most familiar to them, driving the car to the limit. Actively then having to slow down to be more consistent forces them to change something, and therefore opens the door to uncomfortability, change, and then of course with that comes mistakes. So sometimes you'll find a comfortable rhythm for drivers is actually just to drive the car to the limit, because that's what they do most often. That's what's most familiar to them. I think that's exactly what Jason Hightower is doing. He's just finding more and more time. But the interesting thing about, of course, about tail racing is the thing. The track's the same, the cars change. So a driver can be super strong in a GT3, get into a Formula Ford, which is a vastly different driving style, and be completely off the pace. I think the race after this is going to be very interesting to see the shake-up in the order, because I think there could be some surprises.
Yeah, I agree. I do think we've touched on the cars and stuff like that, and I think from going from a GT3 into the Formula Ford, which we will see obviously within round 2, I think could be completely different. I am interested to see now though how Putnam is going to handle this BMW. He clearly has pace for days, but where is he going to choose that moment to go through? If that BMW's smart, stick it in the middle of the track, and Putnam's got nowhere to go. So we'll keep an eye on this one for a minute, because I'm just wondering how he's going to get past him.
Yeah, that's the difficult thing, and also Rick Putnam needs to be super careful not to make another mistake, because he's already dropped down to P11. He doesn't want to drop down any further than that, and he's not got any pressure behind. Realistically, he's not really going to be able to go and catch stars in front unless he gets through on watch out very quickly. So he's got time to assess the situation, find where he's quicker relative to the BMW, find where the best time to make a move is, or even just wait for a mistake. There is Corey Stars, by the way, 3.5 seconds clear of this battle for the final place inside the top 10. But you'd assume this would be light work for Rick Putnam. But after that mistake, he's put himself in a bad position. Track position is incredibly important at the Nordschleife. Once you lose that, you've got to wait nearly 7 minutes before you can go for a realistic overtake.
Yeah, that's the thing. He can't do anything crazy. He might be able to get him up on the run up here, but it depends on what Tim wants to do. Tim could be really, really nice and give him room, or he could just put that car in the middle. And if I was Tim, I'd be putting it in the middle all day. I wouldn't care if you were qualified in front of me. Oh, where are you going? Who is that? Was that Steve Cabay? Yeah, Cabay going the wrong.
Is he all right?
Well, I can't answer that question. Well, the car's not.
No, that's
wow. Broke.
Yes, that is more broke than the working class during the cost of living crisis. That car, that is absolutely. Oh wow, that is not a fun car to drive. Obviously, when it comes to the steering geometry, tracking straight, both wheels pointing forwards, the steering wheel is straight. You can then obviously change that so the wheels move relative to the steering wheel. That's toe in, toe out. And when you've got one that's excessively towed in or the other one towed out, can cause some discrepancy with the steering wheel, i.e. the wheels pointing straight means the steering wheel is 90-degree left-hand down. That is what we saw just there, and that only comes after a fairly sizable whack to the barrier, i.e. the one that we just saw there from Steve Cabay, who was understandably firmly out of the running of this race. Rick Putnam, by the way, because of that, is through into P10. Warchow is then through into P9, which brings a little extra to the table in terms of points for these positions.
Yeah, but he's still not through. This might be the most sensiblest thing he's going to be able to do here. Petty John is also just got back up and battling away as well, so we will pick up on that. But it was just literally to see how Putnam's going to handle this BMW, and he is literally just sitting where he needs to. I think that's the thing. I think, the BMW's doing. However, that's not good.
Chef's kiss. That is so well read from Rick Putnam to find that way through there. He took a step back, right, lifted off early, anticipated he was going to go in deep, saw that he was then going to have his momentum killed, changed his line, cut back underneath, and put the foot down. And that is exactly what you need to do. If it was, sat right under his bumper, he more than likely would have just followed the line and made the same mistake and not been able to find a way through. But Rick Putnam is through into P9, and a slight redemption to his reputation so far in this race. He's into 9th place. Realistically isn't going to make much more progress with so little time left to go in the race, but there is a decent battle here. Corey Stars chasing down onto Chase Pettijohn. I didn't do that intentionally, I promise. But
nice.
42,
love that.
He's up 10 places. He's not been the quickest car on track.
No.
Far from it. But he's from 17th to P7 in the span of not even 4 laps, purely because he's not made a mistake.
Yes. I don't want to sit here and say you're right again. It really does pain me.
Got a Cookie Monster car. Sorry,
It tastes like vinegar every time I say that. But yes, he has got a Cookie Monster car as well. But yes, you are right. He is up 10 places because he has not made the mistake. Corey Stars, however, is down 5 because he has. So there we go.
Yeah, exactly. That sort of is the tale of how your race can go at the Nordschleife. Very rarely do you have an average race. It's either one extreme or the other, and you come off the track feeling really proud about yourself, or you come off of it absolutely gutted and trying to throw the steering wheel. These two, by the way, are closing in onto the Mustang, of course, of David Mull. We saw a little bit earlier on. He's wiggled his way back into P6, but with 1 lap left to go, of course, we say 1 lap left to go as if it's a short amount of time. It's not. We've still got 20 kilometers worth of racing. These two very firmly could be closing down onto David Mull and potentially go and get 6th place.
The problem is, oh, dearie me, I'm disagreeing with you. David Mull's car has got no front end, so these guys are closing. Now, the difference is how, where are they going to catch him? You know, they've got that sort of, what is it? It's about 170 corners. They probably got, it's 174. They've probably gone through 10 or 11 of them at the moment. So they've got 160 plus to go. But the problem is if you start getting near him in the Nords itself, in the Green Hell section of the racetrack, you're going to be in trouble again. So they've got to look at where they are going to catch David Mull. And unfortunately, it looks like it's going to be in Nords.
Yeah, realistically, that was what was going to happen. David Mull, I think, is just limping that car home. Might have a little bit of damage, obviously not enough to warrant a full pit stop. He maintains the track position by doing this and probably is the right decision. Of course, that car is going to be a lot more draggy because there's more surface area. Of course, the front bumper is there to sort of make it as smooth a surface as possible. When you take that off and expose the radiator, the coolant pipes, the fuel hoses, all of that, it adds surface area for things to go and touch. Who is that? That is, in fact, Adam Wang in the 777 Ferrari gone off. Turns this into a three-way fight. Turn 4, however, he is slow, and that could well open the door for a little bit of side-by-side action.
Yeah, is it going to be free? Whoa, Stas, where are you going? Oh, he's... Oh, I'll tell you what, Corey Stas picked him up and stuck him in his pocket on that one because that was brave.
That was, and he did the unpredictable. That was so important. He took a very calculated risk and found his way through in sensational fashion. He's through into 6th place. He's now having to chase down David Mull for P5, and what a result that could be for Corey Stas, considering all that he's been through in this race. But that, when it comes to clever, observational, opportunistic driving, that's textbook stuff from Stas. He was able to assess the situation, be brave, and force the other drivers into submission, and in doing so, he's reaped the benefits.
Was that where Petty John, though, went a little bit wrong? He was a little bit cautious when Wang was doing what Wang did, of course, going off. Was that where Petty John should have just been Corey Stas and put the car there and said, actually, I want this position, you're slow, get out the way? You know, because we're now going to have this 4-car run, and well, I say 4. Hopefully, the guy Wang and Stas and Petty John could all stay together, because I think that final run down the Dottinger Ho would be absolutely amazing if at the end of the day they all come together. So let's see how they get on here. Petty John's got to go through, because at the moment he is losing time to Stas in front.
Yeah, he is, and every corner that he's stuck behind the Ferrari is another corner that he's going to be losing more and more time. But the Cookie Monster, let's see if he's able to go and gobble up the Ferrari. Indeed he is. Another mistake from the green and white machine, and through goes Petty John. That, again, simple as that, textbook stuff. Didn't really need to do anything, just provoke the mistake. He's through into 7th place. The question is, has he got the pace to get after Corey Stas, or is he quicker than David Mull? That's going to be the question, because I doubt Stas is going to be able to easily find a way through on the Mustang. That's when Petty John is able to make his money. That's when he's able to close the gap, whilst the Corvette is stalled trying to overtake.
All right, we'll put this into perspective for you. David Mull's best time, 8:09.2. Petty John's best time, 8:06.1. Last time, with everything that was going on, Petty John, 8:22. David Mull, 8:09. Corey Stas, last time out, 8:04. So there we go. So putting it in perspective, it should be Stas, Petty John, then Mull. But we'll see how we get on, as we've only got, we've got about half a lap, give or take. But half a lap at Nords is like 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's true. According to live timing, Jason Hightower has completed 3.68 of the race so far. So he's now tipped over into 69%. of the lap distance, which means he's got 30% of it left to go, which yeah, is probably going to be in the range of around about 2.5 minutes. So we've still got a little while. That's essentially a full lap of Spa for comparison in terms of time. So we can take a chill pill, we can breathe, we can let these guys do their thing. Of course, they've got even longer because they're nearly a minute back on Hightower. Corey Stas is closing in. Adam Wang, of course, is closing in on Rick Putnam, who himself has made another mistake. That front end is gone.
Again.
Oh, and his wheels locked out. You can see slight right hand down, almost like an IndyCar, in the sense that the tyres are naturally turning left already. Yeah, that's not going to be great when there's also right hand corners, because turning left will be fine. Turning right is where you're going to have problem, because you're basically going to run out of steering angle. He's going to be limping that home, hoping that Warchow doesn't find his way through as well.
Yeah, well, I think he is. He's closing on him on an absolute rapid rate of knots, so there he is there as well. So, but this is where it's going to go now. We've got the leaders just going to start coming into Klein Carousel, going up through the Galgenhof before they go into the Dottinger Hoe. But this is where I think Stas has got to be patient. The trouble is he can't be patient too long because Pettyjohn's coming at him like an absolute rate of knots here. So these three down the Dottinger Hoe could be very, very close together. It could be a run straight down there to see who gets out in front. And at the moment, David Mole is the leader of the pack, but also the slowest of the pack as well. So yeah, he's gonna have to try and work this one quite hard, I think, but the leader is on his way down the Dottinger Hoe. We will pick up as he goes over the line.
Yes, of course, Jason Hightower has kickstarted his season off in fantastic fashion. An 8:01.623 at his best lap time. For comparison, that's nearly a second quicker than even the second quickest driver. There he is, running his way through Tiergarten, and one mistake happens right at the end. No way has Jason Hightower binned it. He has. Through goes Evan Krautwald. He has waited so patiently, but he's the one with the clinical precision. And on the final corner of the final lap, it's going to go the way of the number 10 BMW. On home soil, takes victory for the first round, and Jason Hightower is going to be distraught. He's thrown it away right at the death of it, an almost certain victory. But there's one thing racing has taught me, and it will completely bite you in the backside should you give it the opportunity. Doesn't matter where you are, you can lead all of the race, but if you don't cross the line first, you are not the one reaping the rewards. Side by side through Tiergarten as well for the fight for fifth.
Oh, he did go through. I did wonder whether or not Pettyjohn was going to get through, but he did. Now what's he going to be able to... Is he going to be able to do anything? These guys are going to come running down to the line together. I think Stas is going to stay there. He is, by the looks of it. Corey Stas gets away with 5th place. Mole ends up down in 7th. We did say that though as well. What's going on with Adam Wang and Watcho? Well, looks like they're going to be coming down to the line as well. Wang does manage to hold on. How upset would you be if you were Hightower right now? You led for the whole thing and you had 2 corners to go and you chuff it and stick it into the barrier.
And he didn't deserve to win. It's as simple as that. Up until Tiergarten on the last lap.
Zach Sweeney, you need to put your claws away.
It's true. He did not deserve to win.
Come
Krautwald
on.
did. Krautwald was the best driver that race. It's as simple as that. Because he didn't make a mistake. He was 3 seconds back. He wasn't the quickest. He was the best. He was the most consistent. He won the race. And he did so because he deserved to. People will say, oh, he got lucky because Hightower spun. But no, he didn't. He made his own luck. Why was he the one with his hands there ready to scoop up the spoils of Hightower's mistake? Because he was the one that was 3 seconds back. Because he matched the pace of Hightower. Because he didn't make that mistake at the critical moment. He didn't let the pressure get to him. Whereas Jason Hightower, don't get me wrong, pole position, fastest lap, consistently done for 99% of that race. But it's that 1% that cost him. And that's all it takes is 1%. And that's day done. I mean, it's not day done. He still finished P2, which is a great result. But again, what happened and what could have been 2 very different things for Jason Hightower. And it was one small mistake that I'm sure, definitely surprised him going into it. But unfortunately, that's the name of the game. Racing is that. You don't score points the first 3 laps and 90%. You score the points for crossing the line first. And that's what Evan Krautwald did.
Oh, you are.
Am I wrong?
Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
The problem is, as much as I want to sit here and go, Zach Sweeney, you are wrong. To a degree, you are correct, which makes me sick of all these times that you're being right.
Degree. I am that.
You're not a doctor.
I'm not
you haven't got a degree in being correct. You
It says it right here.
Right where? Like, I can see where you're pointing. What, on your own made-up certificate?
Yeah.
Nice.
From the University of
Sweeney's mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Cameron Bailey goes over the line. We didn't really see much of Cameron at all, partly because, obviously, he was into the pits at the same time, so he clearly had some issues, but he comes over the line there. Steve Cabay, we saw him going the wrong way down the circuit, which was a bit of a scare moment for anybody else coming the other way. Lance Keltner in the Ford Mustang is going to come over the line as well. He's going to be down in 14th. And then we got a bit of a wait, I'm afraid, as Dylan Hesselink is going to come over the line before we can give you the results.
Yeah, that's the problem with the Nordschleife. Sometimes you got to wait for everyone to cross the line, and sometimes you are going to be waiting a fair while. But it's the Nordschleife, right? It is the most infamous circuit in the world for a reason. Arguably one of the best. I don't know where it stacks up on your list of circuits, but definitely is up there no matter where you go, because it is just captivating. Once you nail a lap around the Nordschleife, there's nothing like it. It has its history. It's got the prestige, of course, the Nurburgring 24-hour, one of the biggest GT3 races in the world, one of the biggest motorsport events in the world. And that is the level that this circuit goes to. It's dangerous. It has claimed lives, but it adds to the challenge. Dylan Hesselink, the one time we've seen him this race, and he's made a mistake. So hopefully that's not selling of his entire race. But he's not got long left to go. But that Corvette does not look like he's having fun. I think he's given up.
Well, he's been in. He has been in the pits as well. He was in the pits for a good 9 minutes. So that's basically a tow to basically. So he's obviously made a little bit of a moment. But hopefully he should be all right. He's just got to go straight, right? In a broken car.
Oh my goodness me!
Look at that.
Because the car naturally wants to bear right. Okay, so he's then having to correct it by going left, but the car doesn't want to go left, and because he's traveling at such high speeds, it's actually being skittish. So he's having to correct oversteer on a straight. It's he's not taken. He's not having a laugh here, guys. That is genuinely how you have to drive this car.
Yes.
When it's like that.
It's broke.
It is gone.
It's broken.
Yeah. Typical Chevy.
Oh, give over. Typical Chevy. I'm going to buy this car now. I'm going to prove to you that it's just. Oh, no, don't do that. It's not a typical Chevy. Porsche doing Porsche things, remember?
I've never had an issue with Porsches.
Oh, mate, they spin more times than a ballerina in Swan Lake. Give over.
Tell you what, actually, there was a... everyone was okay, so it's fine, I can say about it, but there was a monumental crash at Alton Park a couple of weeks ago for the Porsche... I think it was the Boxster Championship. And Alton Park, of course, you know, from the lights towards Turn 1, they were 3 wide. One driver tried to go to the inside, got pinched to the inside barrier. Of course, the barriers are not designed for you to crash into on a straight. So he literally rode up onto 2 wheels, like a scene out of a speed racer. Up onto 2 wheels, over the catch fence, flipped, and then ended up on the other side of the circuit. So I suppose maybe that does feed into your point of Porsche doing Porsche things, but they are absolutely fantastic cars. Nonetheless, that was a fantastic race, and what a climax right at the end of it, seeing Evan Krautvold take the victory ahead of Jason Hightower. Matt Green cementing himself onto the podium ahead of Dave Hernandez. Corey Stas, after an up-and-down roller coaster of an affair, rounds up the top 5 ahead of Chase Petterjohn, who in the end was able to find his way ahead of David Mull. Adam Wang ahead of Tim Warchow. Rick Putnam, what could have been for him as he only rounds off the top 10. Patrick Masick ahead of Cameron Bailey, a quiet race for him to 12th. Steve Cabay ahead of Lance Keltner. Eric Killian, the top 15, with Dylan Hesselink, the last driver to finish on the lead lap. Gabriel Batista, after an early spin with him, and Alexander Batash as well, the 18th driver. Behind that, of course, you had Pat Labrosse, who I didn't even think took to the start.
No.
James Parfitt, what a way to say hello to this championship.
Yep. And you know what? There's going to be people coming into the Formula Fords, and they're going to be sitting back wondering, what if? What if Hightower didn't spin on the last corner? He would have won. What if Corey Stas hadn't overdriven that Corvette and spun it a couple of times? What if Putnam hadn't done what he did with the Mustang? It was all going to be what ifs. And, you know, they've got to go in to the next round in the Formula Fords and try and, well, but some of them improve on what they did this week. But great racing overall. David Anders finishing 4th. He was up 4 places as well. Matt Green finishing in 3rd. He was up 2nd. Petty John up 11. And that's purely, as you said, because he kept it on the track.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what you need to do. But that does bring an end to the battle at the ring for the GT3s, for the Apex is Lava. Some people were firmly leaning into that ideology with the mistakes and the spins that we saw, particularly, of course, our nearly race leader of Jason Hightower. The drama that can ensue is exactly what this championship is entailing. Of course, the GT3s have wrapped up their stint at the Nordschleife. They'll move on to the Formula Fords for their next round. It's been myself, Zach Sweeney, James Parfitt. We look forward to bringing you all of the action for the rest of the season for the Apex is Lava sim racing. Thank you, of course, to everyone watching along on the James Parfitt Broadcasting. Make sure to like, subscribe, turn the bell on for notifications to stay up to date with all things sim racing. And until next time, it's goodbye for now.